Hi, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of the At Odds podcast, where myself and Sam Farley will guide you through the first midweek fixture list of the Premier League season. We've got 4 games on Tuesday, 5 games on Wednesday, and Leicester Man United is the solo game on Thursday. And I guess, Sam, there's not really any better place to kick off the show with, to be honest. Leicester United seems like it could be the best game of this midweek fixture list.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's what we love about the Premier League is there's always these narratives and these storylines kind of going on. Last week, Liverpool were in demise. A couple of days later, they've just tied the score for biggest victory in a game with a 9-0 win. I think United and Leicester, both two clubs kind of in this. You've got this redemption arc for Man United and Ten Hag that I didn't really think they were that good against Southampton, to be honest with you. So I think Leicester's a far sterner test, and I think this is a far better test of where they are as a team. And then you've got Leicester, who, by all accounts, are really not where we think they should be. And there's a lot of doubts over will Brendan Rodgers be there much longer. And I mean, it's a tough one, really. I don't know what you think about it, Jake. Where you think this game's going to go?
I think similar. Yeah, I feel that it is one of them games that can literally go either way. I mean, as we've mentioned previously in the podcast, we always put our picks and discuss our picks for each other before we go live. And I can see that we've differed so massively in terms of how we think the game's going to go. Because personally, I feel like it's got goals written all over it. I know United have looked really good defensively so far with the new centre-back partnership. Leicester shipping goals all over the place. Obviously, we saw that against Chelsea. We've seen that against Arsenal. But they can score goals. They've got amazing players in the team. James Maddison, Jamie Vardy. You never know what can happen with Jamie Vardy on his day. Harvey Barnes. They've just got some players where I think they can cause United problems, and I think that a lot's been made out around that centre-back partnership of Varane and Martinez, and I just think that it could be goals. There could be goals.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I look at this Leicester team. Tielemans, I mean, bear in mind this game is on Thursday. The debt transfer deadline is on Thursday. Tielemans, I think there's a reasonable chance we don't see him. Then you've got
Boz has sold Tielemans about 4 times.
Speaking of Boz, if you're wondering where he is, he's currently in Lisbon, drowning in Superboc, and he cursed them to a loss at the weekend by turning up to the game. So, Boz, if you're listening, we hope you're enjoying your break. But back to the game, Jamie Vardy, I thought against Chelsea. Now, I didn't watch the game in full. I watched highlights, so there's got to say that first. There was a few times where he was in, and you expect to see Vardy just score these type of goals because it's what he's done for years since he's been in the Premier League. He just didn't really look quite at it. And I think if he's not at it, Tielemans, God knows if we'll even see him. That leaves you really from an attacking point of view with Harvey Barnes as the kind of main outlet there. And to be honest, I actually think he's a brilliant player who probably should be in England contention at some point in the next year or two. But I think United have... I wouldn't want to pick a winner of this game, but I do think United are good enough defensively now, at least from what we've seen so far, to kind of keep them at bay. And my issue with United really is, are they going to score? I think Rashford was down the middle against Southampton, didn't look great. As soon as he got moved to the wing, he looked better almost immediately. Bruno Fernandes, lovely finish for the goal, but to be honest, that goal kind of papered over what was a pretty awful performance by him, just giving away the ball every 5 seconds. Sancho ineffective. I worry about their attack. I really do worry about their attack. The defense, I do think, is reasonable, and the kind of most pleasing thing to see, I think, when you look at that defense is there was hardly any gaps between sort of the centre halves or between the centre half and the fullback on that side. Really narrow, really tight. Whereas we've seen United these last couple of years, you could park a bus between there sometimes. It's been a shambles. I think if they keep it tight at the back, it is going to limit the ability for someone like Jamie Vardy to find those pockets of space and get in. So my bet for this one, I know you differ very much on this. My bet for this is under 2.5 goals, which is at 13-10. I just think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I could see it being a 1-0 either side or 1-1. I can't even see one team scoring 2, to be honest.
Fair enough. And again, as we said earlier, it is one of them games that it could go either way. I've gone for a little bet builder in this one. I've gone for Harvey Barnes and Bruno both to score and the result to be United or draw. I just don't think I can see Leicester getting a win in this game just due to the fact that the form's poor. Brendan Rodgers, again, is under massive pressure. It may be that a lot of the players I've got their minds on deadline day, and it's going to be a tough one in that sense. But I think that Harvey Barnes is a great player. He scored against Chelsea this weekend. Bruno Fernandes is that type of player who he goes consecutive games scoring, and obviously he scored against Liverpool, scored at the weekend. He's going to be in and around getting chances against Leicester side who have the amount of chances that Chelsea had at the weekend and the amount of chances that Leicester created at the weekend too, to be fair to them against Chelsea. I just feel like it may be goals in this. United or draw again, that's just to add the value up a bit, but that's 18-1 for that bet builder. So again, shop around, see if there is any sort of specials for this game. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of specials with various bookies because it is the only Premier League game on Thursday.
I've got to say one thing, Jake, I want to point out with your bet there. Bruno Fernandes to score. At the moment, that you put in that bet on today. We're recording this on Sunday night for full disclosure. You put that bet on today for first goal scorer, anytime goal scorer, whatever. Ronaldo's name is going to be at the top of that list. He might not be there on Thursday when this kicks off, in which case, Bruno Fernandes is starting. He will. And he would more than likely be back on penalty duty. So the chance of him scoring will skyrocket. So I think that's definitely one. If you're betting maybe a day or two before the transfer window, you might actually get a bit more value than on a day, potentially.
I agree with you, definitely. And again, that's the good thing about these bet builder markets where a lot of the games in the Premier League these days, we tend to know what players will be starting for these big teams because a lot of them aren't going to be changing on really. And again, Ronaldo, we expect him to go, but you just never know, do you? You never know if he stays or if he goes. It's going to be interesting.
So we actually had somebody ask us last week, talk about kind of transfer bets. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jake, why don't you give us two minutes on kind of 1 minute on what you think of transfer market bets? Because I know it's something that you, and I know Boz definitely has an opinion on it.
Yeah.
And then I guess where you think Ronaldo will go if he were to leave Man United this window?
I think that transfer market bets are probably the key reason why I have accounts with various different bookmakers, because at the end of the day, different bookmakers provide different odds for those bets, and it's one of the best markets to shop around with. Similar with manager markets too, Farley. I know that we both love a managerial market too because it's all about finding value before the bookie cuts the odds. So they are interesting markets. In terms of Ronaldo, it seems a case of sporting or bust for me, to be honest. I think that he's obviously getting shopped around. I saw links with Napoli at the weekend, but Napoli's they're wanting like 120 mil for Osimhen. They want United to pay Ronaldo's full wages for the season. It just seems like it's just standard behaviour from Napoli's owners, really. But I think that the best case scenario for him is just to go back to Sporting, cut ties with United, try and get out of the contract somehow, and then go back to his boyhood club, really. What do you think about it, Farley?
As good as he is, as much of a great as he is, and I think he's the best player of all time, that's another discussion for another day. He doesn't fit what United are trying to do with that team. I mean, and I think if it was a lesser player, you would just say, if we're not getting value for him, let him just sit on the bench. We'll bring him on when we need a goal. But I think with Ronaldo, with everything we know about him, his attitude, it's just going to cause problems. So I think they need to ship him off. Sporting Lisbon to me makes the most sense. I think it's quite like a romantic story, him going back there. I'd like to see it. Likewise, Napoli. What they want is ridiculous, but you know, as a neutral, I would quite enjoy that because it's a bit of almost like a Maradona-esque vibe to him going there, and it's a club that loves like an icon like that. I mean, other than that, like I'm looking at the markets now. Chelsea are next favourites at 20-1, AC Milan 20-2, Atletico 20-2, any Saudi Arabian club 25-1. That's not gonna happen. All these bet, like I don't know, can't see it. But yeah, for me, I'm not. I love a manager bet. I'm not super keen on transfer bets because I just feel like so much of what we hear and read is absolute tripe. Whereas I think with managers, you can use a bit of your own brain kind of work to kind of work out where the angles might be and stuff like that. But look, we've covered Man United enough now. Let's kind of go through on a day-by-day basis, kind of Tuesday's games and then Wednesdays. I think we're both actually talking about the same game here on Tuesday, and it's a game I'm going to be going to actually. But that is the biggest game of the day, obviously. Fulham versus Brighton. Jake, what do you think of this?
Listen, we on this podcast have probably disrespected Brighton a little bit over the last few weeks. I think that Graham Potter has done an amazing job there, and he's one of them managers who his stock's just getting higher and higher each week. And I just feel like this game, I'm looking at the odds for it now, and I think Brighton to beat Fulham at 6-5 is just too good a price. I think they've obviously gone to Old Trafford this season and won. They've gone to West Ham's ground this season and won. They can go to Craven Cottage and they can win easily too. I think that the passing for Fulham is just going to be too much for them, and I think that Brighton are going to be pinging it around, and I just think 6-5 is just too big a price for it, to be honest, Farley.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. And I think if I had to pick a winner on a kind of 1x2 market, I'd definitely lean towards Brighton. And you're spot on where you have disrespected them. I think not getting enough credit, and I think it's not that we don't think that Potter's a brilliant manager, because that's true. But I think, and I'm definitely capable of this. Sorry, I look at that starting 11 and player for player, I do not think it's very good. Bar like maybe 2 or 3 of them. But for me, the bet here is both teams to score, which is 5-6. Brighton, they've been scoring relatively freely. They look really good. They seem to finally, after, was it last year, sort of underperforming XG constantly, they've now finally hit the point where they are scoring the goals they should be. So that's really good to see. But Fulham have scored in 3 of their 4 games. And bear in mind, in that time, they played Liverpool and Arsenal. I think that's pretty impressive. So, and they're at home. Wouldn't be surprised to see Mitro score under the lights. But yeah, that's probably how I'd go. So let's just, we haven't properly got tips for the other games, but there's 3 other games on that day. So I'm going to tell you the game, Jake. You just give me tell me whether you'd go kind of home win, draw, away win, whatever. So first up, we got Boz's very own Crystal Palace versus Brentford.
Draw for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give that a draw as well.
Have you seen the news around Wilfred Zaha, by the way?
Potentially off to Chelsea.
It's a good job, Boz, isn't it? Because there'd be tears. Draw.
He's probably crying into his super box out there, isn't he? Tears in the Sagres. Next game, Southampton-Chelsea.
Chelsea, definitely, I think.
Yeah, Chelsea. I thought Southampton were poor against United. Yeah, easy one that. And then this is, I think this game is really interesting, actually. Probably the most interesting one on Tuesday night for me. Leeds-Everton at Elland Road.
Leeds just.
We picked the same winners in these 3 now, haven't we? But I'm going to say Leeds as well. So that's annoying. Where we go next? Then, Jake?
Should we go to Wednesday then? Because 5 games on Wednesday, so it's a great midweek. And I think that looking at the games, West Ham Spurs is probably the game that looks the tastiest, really. I know that neither of us have actually tipped anything in that game, but in West Ham Spurs, I know we've literally just seen Spurs.
Do you reckon that's? I'm going to disagree with you. I think Liverpool Newcastle's probably if I had to watch one, the one I'd watch. Yeah.
I just feel like at Anfield, I think if it was at St James's Park, I think I'd be more up for watching that game. Anfield, coming off a 9-0 win, Liverpool are just going to be in massive hopes. And St Max went off injured today, hamstring.
Can I ask you a quick question about that 9-0 win, or related to that 9-0 win? How long do you think it'll be? How many seasons till we see a team score 10 in the Premier League?
It's a very good question. I felt like that was a really, really good chance of it, to be honest, because Bournemouth, you and Boz have put me on the Bournemouth being absolutely terrible train. Could someone do it against Bournemouth this season? Maybe.
You've played them once already, which I think realistically it's going to be you, Liverpool. I can't really see it being anyone else.
I think the thing is with us that we tend to sit back after 6 and just pass it around the back 4, and it's just a bit. We've done it in the past where we've played against teams and we've been absolutely dominating them, and then we just tend to just die down. Whereas Liverpool love the heavy metal football and they'll just keep attacking. So I think if it is anyone, it'll be Liverpool. But I think we may see it. But Liverpool-Newcastle is a good game too. I agree with you. What is your pick for Wednesday, Farley?
My pick for Wednesday is Arsenal -1 against Aston Villa. That's 13-10. Arsenal, I mean, I know they narrowly beat Fulham, but they are playing some really good stuff right now. But this is less of a vote of confidence in Arsenal and more in just Villa are in a seriously bad way. They've got Arsenal and then Man City, I think, in their next 2, haven't they?
Yeah.
And for me, Steven Gerrard is 6-1 next to be sacked next. I don't think he's getting out past those 2 games, to be honest. I think they're going to lose both of them. I think he's out on his ear. When Dean Smith was sacked, I thought it was a bit soon and a bit unfair, really, because he'd obviously bought in all these players with the Grealish money and he didn't really have time to let them bed. And then Gerrard came in, he had a really good start. And I think part of that was because these players had kind of bedded in and they still had Dean Smith's kind of defensive plan kind of and style within them.
Yeah.
And as we've just gone on and on, I do not know what this guy has that's good as a manager besides a good contact list on his phone. I really don't think he's a good manager. And it's the way he's handled the Tyrone Mings thing.
Yeah.
It's just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing all round. And the other thing that worries me with Villa, right, it's a different starting 11 every week, different formation. It seems like every week. He has no idea what he's doing, and now he's going to play an Arsenal team who defensively are very strong. They've got a lot of creativity in the forward positions. So I think Arsenal can hammer them. I think it's going to be 3-4-0. I wouldn't even be surprised to see a 5 or 6. I think Villa are going to be downing tools and getting steamrolled these next few days.
Could you give me a realistic replacement for Steven Gerrard right now?
So if you're Villa, and I don't think so, one of my Villa supporting mates, he's put this name forward in a group chat a few times, and I like to troll him about it because I think this guy should go to a better club, a top club. But I do think Graham Potter is the man. If I was Villa, go all out.
Ooh, okay.
Because if you're Potter, Villa, historically, they are good at backing their managers. And to be honest, that's one reason that Gerrard might not go this soon. But they are good at backing their managers. They do have money to play with. And that fan base, as much as I know far too many Villa fans and I love to give them some stick, but that fan base is a bloody good fan base. And when Villa Park's rocking, it is rocking. And that is a club, I think the right manager could get them to be a top 6 club.
Okay.
Not easily, but I think it's possible. So that would be my choice. Who would you go for?
I'm just thinking if there's any chance of Poch. Would Pochettino go to Aston Villa? I mean, he's been linked with some big clubs, hasn't he? And he's not had... Obviously, the United link was there for a long time. Obviously, he was PSG manager, left PSG. Could Villa tempt him? They've got the money. They've got a lot of money. I'm just trying to think of some names that are free agents, really. And Poch is obviously the biggest name, and he's going to be that manager who is linked with every job that comes available, and he's definitely in the betting too, to be honest.
The new Alan Kirbishley.
The new Kirbishley. I'm not sure Poch will like that comparison. But anyway, going into my best bet for Wednesday, I've gone for the City game, City Forest. I'll be there, obviously, and I've gone for
Erling Haaland to score, probably.
Alvarez to score and City to win, because I feel that Haaland will be rested for this game. I know Boz mentioned it in the weekend podcast, but Pep came out last week and said pretty much if there's going to be 2 games a week, I'm not going to start Haaland for both games. Alvarez came on against Palace and actually played really well. He was involved in the goal that put us into the lead, and his pressing is some of the best that I've seen. I'd compare him to Aronson for Leeds in terms of his pressing play. I just think he's the type of player who will be good for a goal. I expect us to score a few goals against Forest. Forest today against Spurs just seemed toothless. They've signed a lot of players, haven't they, Forest? And it may just be one of them where it's going to take him quite a few weeks. Can't believe they're signing Renan Loddy on loan. It's actually baffling me that they're signing Renan Loddy, because he's the type of player who could walk into near enough any Premier League side, to be honest. So it's a bit mad. But Wednesday is, like I say, 5 games we've got on the Wednesday. We'll go through again each game.
What price are you getting for that? Sorry, that bet.
That is evens for him to score and City to win.
I like that. It is a shame that the bookies are really smart and they never kind of put the sort of backup strikers at longer odds.
Yeah.
Because by all rights they should be. But I think that's a really smart bet, mate. I like that a lot.
Obviously, looking at it, Haaland's 4-9 to score and City to win. So bookies are already running scared of Haaland as at the minute. He's like odds against just about to score a brace, Haaland at 6-5. And it's like, when have you ever seen a player in the Premier League at 6-5 to score a brace? It's rare.
He's reaching that kind of the odds kind of market that you used to see on Ronaldo and Messi during their kind of peak years in La Liga. And it was one of those where I think they give you such stingy odds just to make sure they'll offer it to you, but you're not going to take it. Just it's not worth their time.
Yeah, I agree. So Wednesday's fixtures, we'll kick off with Bournemouth against Wolves. Who are you backing in this one? Who would you back potentially?
I mean, I'm not backing Bournemouth, that's for sure. I'd go draw here. Wolves are toothless up front.
I'm going to go Wolves just purely due to the fact that I think Bournemouth's heads will have well and truly gone after that game at the weekend. So Arsenal Villa. I know obviously we've already touched upon that. Arsenal, easy. I've got to agree. I can't see Villa getting anything out of this one. I wouldn't be surprised if they did score, to be honest, just due to how many chances Fulham had against Arsenal at the weekend in that game. I think that Mitrovic, I think it's more on Mitrovic than anything else, to be honest, because he run them 2 centre-halves ragged for a lot of the game. City Forest?
Oh, tough one that. Steve Cooper's Mighty Forest, I reckon. Yeah, definitely.
I'll hold you to that. West Ham Spurs?
This is a good game, isn't it? I mean, Spurs are evens, which I think is a fantastic bet. I'd go Spurs, yeah.
I think I'm going to go score draw. It's going to be a good game. I think there's goals in it, definitely.
Oh, see, I thought West Ham were crap against Villa.
Got the win now, and that's what they need to do, isn't it? They just need to kick on from that now, really. Liverpool Newcastle. Ooh.
I've been really impressed by Newcastle. I think I'm going to go draw at 5-1.
That's a great price, a very good price. I'm going to go Liverpool just purely due to the fact that St. Max has lost one of his hamstrings today, I think. Hopefully they get it on ice and he can start on Wednesday, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, to be honest. So that rounds up the midweek Premier League games. Obviously, there is Football League games. There's a lot a lot of sport happening this week. We'll have our full podcast, episode 8, probably Thursday, Friday, just with previews of this weekend football. I'm sure Boz will be back with some horse racing stuff, and we'll have a lot more stuff for next weekend. Before we do go, though, we have our midweek double. Obviously, it's usually treble with Boz being here, but just the two of us now. So for the midweek double, what would you like to put in, Farley?
Look, we spoke about this before the show, and I normally with these doubles, trebles, I like to give you a bit of analysis. I'll talk about Gabriel Jesus' XG or the goals that teams have been conceding. But this week, it's just straight up vibes. I'm saying Sheffield United at home to Reading, 8-13. Reading are top of the Championship, but they are not a good team. And this is one of these, like, this is the mentality of somebody who's had a few beers. It's 6 a.m. I'm on a roulette table. All I'm thinking is it can't be black again. Reading cannot win again. So I'm going for Sheffield United. They were dreadful in the first game they played this season. I went to that. They were awful. But I've seen them on TV twice since. Really good. Okay. Once since, actually. That was a lie. Really good. So, yeah, Sheffield United for me, 8-13, easy money.
Okay. I like it. And I think that, again, Reading being top of the league, it seems just a bit of madness to me, to be honest. Obviously, we spoke about them in our outright podcast at the start of the season, and we all was thinking that Reading would be in trouble, Paul Ince, and it's just a madness. For my part of the double, I'm going to go back to that West Ham-Tottenham game, and I'm going to go both teams to score in that game. I just think it's got goals written all over it. It's one of them London derbies that is always tasty. And I think both teams to score at 8-11, I just think it's a great price, and it's going to be something that I'll probably end up putting in a few hackers on Wednesday too. So that rounds up. Do you have odds for that, by the way, Farley? I think it's looking we're probably looking just under 2-1, maybe. I think.
Yeah, just under 2-1, something like that.
Yeah,
but that's so, I like that.
I like it. I mean, we usually have Boz in here to throw in like a 2 or 3-1 shot that will boost the odds up, and inevitably.
How did our weekend treble do this weekend? Do we know? Probably should have had this prepared before, really, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we probably should have. Yeah, I know I had Brentford to winning it, so I let us down definitely in that one. I watched that game on Match of the Day. Oh my god, Brentford had about 20 chances. I think they hit the post or hit the bar like 3 times. Everton were just holding on for dear life, to be honest. But it was a good game, and again, these midweek doubles, we put them up all the time. If you are on a bet this week, just make sure you're sensible with it. We always say this. Be sensible with your bets. Don't bet anything more than you need to. At the end of the day, if the fun stops, stop. It's a cliche, but it's something that is important, I think, at the end of the day. If you are listening to us now, make sure you do like and subscribe to us at @OddsPod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere. Just let us know any thoughts, any questions you have for the next episode too. Tweet us. Obviously, our ats are on the screen now, and let us know anything even unrelated to the podcast. If you just want to ask us anything, ask us anything. Okay. Anything else you want to say before we go, Farley?
Yeah, it's been a pleasure as always. We'll be back very soon with Mr. Sam Boswell, who's going to be very happy about this news that Baid might head to the Arc. He is very excited. He's rubbing his knees with excitement already at the potential for a big win. So I'm sure you'll hear from him about that. And Boz, if you are listening to us right now, you can go back to the pool and get back to your Sagres now.
Love you, Boz. See you later, everyone.